December 18th, 1793. Midnight. A storm is tearing the Mediterranean coast apart. Wind howls like 1,000 demons. Rain comes down in sheets so heavy it blinds the men. In the darkness, a 24-year-old captain leads the second wave straight into the teeth of the enemy. His horse is shot beneath him, crashes into the mud. A British sergeant lunges with a bayonet, drives it deep into the young officer's thigh. Blood pours. For one frozen second, the entire future of Europe hangs by a thread. Because this nobody, this Corsican artillery captain named Napoleone Bonaparte, is about to become Napoleon. This is not the Battle of the Pyramids. This is not Austerlitz. This is Toulon, the siege that forged an emperor. Let's go back 5 months earlier, the summer of 1793. The French Revolution is now in its 4th year, and it is devouring its own children. The king is already gone, his head chopped off in January. Now the radicals have seized total control in Paris. They have unleashed the reign of terror, revolutionary tribunals, show trials, and the guillotine working day and night. Anyone who even whispers a doubt about the Republic is dragged away. France's leaders believe the only way to save their fragile new republic is to export the revolution by force, so they declare war on the Habsburg Empire. But the war spirals out of control. Within weeks, France is facing a coalition of almost every major power in Europe: Britain, Spain, Austria, Prussia, Naples, Sardinia, all determined to crush this dangerous experiment before it spreads like wildfire across the continent. And inside France, civil war. Entire regions rise up in horror at the bloodshed and extremism coming from Paris. The South is especially on fire with royalist rage. Then comes the blow that threatens to end everything. August 1793. The city of Toulon, France's most important naval base in the Mediterranean, joins the revolt. Toulon is not just any port. It houses 1/3 of the entire French Navy, dozens of ships of the line, arsenals packed with cannon, powder magazines, rope walks, sail lofts, everything a navy needs to rule the seas. The rebels don't just rebel. They do something unthinkable. They open the gates to their old enemy, the British Royal Navy. Admiral Lord Hood sails in aboard the legendary HMS Victory, the same ship that will one day carry Nelson to Trafalgar. Not one shot is fired. The British, Spanish, Neapolitan, and Sardinian troops simply march ashore. In a single bloodless stroke, the Allies have crippled French naval power across the entire Mediterranean and seized a perfect foothold on French soil. Paris is in absolute panic. Every available soldier in southern France, 19,000 men in total, is immediately diverted to surround and besiege their own greatest naval base. But the French army is a shadow of what it once was. Most professional officers were aristocrats, and they have fled the guillotine by the thousands. The man now in command? General Jean-François Carteau, a loyal Republican, yes, but by trade he was a court painter. No military training whatsoever. And then another disaster. His only experienced artillery commander, Colonel Donmartin, is badly wounded in the first clashes. The entire siege is now hanging by a thread. At this exact moment, a short, intense 24-year-old artillery captain is riding through Toulon on his way to the Italian front. His name, Napoleone Bonaparte. Later, the world will know him as Napoleon Bonaparte. He has almost no combat experience. He is still just a professional soldier on paper. But a powerful Corsican deputy from the National Convention in Paris, Antoine Salicetti, spots him and makes a single recommendation that will echo through history. Put this man in charge of the guns. Why Bonaparte? 2 reasons. First, he is a trained artillery officer in an army starving for professionals. Second, and more important to the revolutionaries, his politics are perfect. Just weeks earlier, he had written a fiery political pamphlet, a short story about a young artillery officer who publicly berates his fellow diners for even thinking of betraying the Republic. General Carteau reads it and decides it's safer to accept the recommendation than refuse a deputy from Paris. On September 16, 1793, Captain Bonaparte is handed command of the entire artillery. What he finds is heartbreaking: a handful of rusty, outdated cannon, almost no trained gun crews, desperate shortages of powder and shot. Most men would have given up. Bonaparte does the opposite. With relentless, almost superhuman energy, Bonaparte transforms chaos into a fighting force. He scours every warehouse and village for hidden guns. He takes ordinary infantrymen and trains them as gunners in days. He sets up his own forge and workshop to manufacture ammunition on the spot. He arranges urgent transport from Marseille, 100,000 sandbags for building new batteries. Within weeks, he has built something extraordinary: 64 officers and 1,500 men operating 100 cannon, howitzers, and mortars. He pushes 2 brand-new forward batteries right under the enemy's nose, La Montagne and Sans-Culotte, bringing the inner harbor directly under fire. Admiral Hood is forced to pull every precious warship deeper into the port for safety. But Bonaparte isn't finished. He has a plan, a brilliant, audacious plan that will bypass almost every French defense and win the siege in one stroke. Bonaparte explains to his superiors, "If we capture Fort L'Aiguillette, that little promontory that looks straight across the harbor, we can drag heavy guns up there and set the entire British and Spanish fleet on fire where it sits at anchor. Admiral Hood will have no choice. He will have to sail away and take every Allied soldier with him. Toulon will fall without a long, bloody siege. It is the shortest, smartest path to victory." On September 22nd, the attack on the heights above L'Aiguillette finally begins. Bonaparte begs for 3,000 men. The indecisive Carteau sends only 400. The result is slaughter. Worse, the Allies now understand exactly what the French are after. In just 48 hours, they reinforce the position with thousands more troops and build a brand-new fortress bristling with 20 cannon. The French soldiers grimly nickname it Little Gibraltar. The siege drags on and on through the miserable autumn. Mid-November. Finally, an experienced professional soldier arrives to take overall command, General Dugommier. He studies Bonaparte's plan for exactly 1 day and declares, "This is the only way we win Toulon." He gives it his full backing. Bonaparte is immediately promoted to major. Now the real work begins. Bonaparte oversees the construction of even more batteries in preparation for the final assault. One new position is so dangerously exposed to enemy fire that soldiers refuse to be sent there. So Bonaparte renames it on the spot, La Batterie des Hommes Sans Peur, the battery of men without fear. Suddenly, there is a waiting list of volunteers. This is the first time the army sees the extraordinary power Napoleon has to inspire men, a gift that will carry him to the gates of Moscow and back. November 30th. The British land commander, General Charles O'Hara, the very same man who had surrendered to George Washington at Yorktown 12 years earlier, tries one final desperate move. He launches a surprise night attack on the new French batteries facing Fort Malbousquet. At first it succeeds. The batteries are overrun, guns spiked, but then comes a ferocious French counterattack led personally by General Dugommier and Major Bonaparte. The Allies are thrown back. O'Hara himself is shot through the hand and captured. He surrenders, this time to Napoleon Bonaparte. The early hours of December 18th. Gale force winds, driving rain. The French launch their all-out assault on Little Gibraltar, Fort Mulgrave. Muskets are soaked, completely useless. Men fight with bayonets and clubbed rifles in savage hand-to-hand combat. Bonaparte leads the second wave himself. His horse is killed under him. A British sergeant drives a bayonet into his thigh. The wound comes within inches of slicing the femoral artery and ending the life of the man who would reshape the world. But Napoleon keeps going. The French keep coming. Fort Mulgrave falls. Then Fort L'Aiguillette. Then the Tour de Balaquier. By the following afternoon, 10 heavy French guns are in position overlooking the harbor. Admiral Hood now faces a nightmare. He cannot risk his priceless ships of the line under point-blank fire. He orders the immediate evacuation of the entire fleet and garrison. In the panic, small British and Spanish teams try to destroy every French ship and naval store they cannot take. They fail. 18 beautiful ships of the line fall back into French hands, a missed opportunity the Allies will regret for years. 14,000 terrified citizens of Toulon crowd onto the Allied ships, desperate to escape the coming vengeance. Many drown in the chaos. Those left behind face the wrath of the revolution. Republican troops enter the city the next morning. Executions and firing squads begin almost immediately. For the next 2 weeks, roughly 200 people are executed every single day. Later, Allied propaganda will try to blame Bonaparte personally, but there is no evidence he took any direct part. Toulon is back in French hands. The Republic has survived its greatest crisis. The Allies have lost their Mediterranean dagger, their chance to spark a wider royalist uprising, and perhaps their best opportunity to strangle the revolution in its cradle. And one 24-year-old artillery officer is promoted to brigadier general. His name is now known across France. Napoleon Bonaparte has taken his very first step on the road that will lead to 21 years of almost constant war across Europe, from the sands of Egypt to the snows of Russia and the fields of Waterloo. Everything began here, in the mud, blood, and glory of Toulon. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. Next time, we're telling an even bigger story.